Glad you're with us today for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. I'm Mark Elliott. Mindy McIntosh, the founder and president of McIntosh and Associates. Husband Nolan is here to help you with any of your market questions. Of course, they're here really to help you with any of your retirement questions. Can I retire? When can I retire? Do I have enough? Will my money last as long as I do? Will my loved ones be okay if something happens to me? Really, at the end of the day, we just want to know if we retire, will we be okay? Well, that's what the team at McIntosh and Associates is here to help you with, help you create your dream-focused wealth plan. 877-222-8849 is the number, 877-222-8849. And, of course, you can always go to the website to learn more, wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. All right, Mindy, it's the open enrollment annual election period, October 15th through December 7th every year. A lot going on, and now you've got a Social Security bump for all the Social Security recipients starting next year of 8.7%. How are things going?
You know, folks are just loving it. All these families, as we get to talk about, Medicare updates and possible, formulary changes or cost changes. A lot feel pretty warm and fuzzy this year as we're looking at a standard reduction to Medicare Part B premium from the $170 down to $164.90. And then the cost of living adjustment at 8.7, they're thinking, wow, so what happened to my healthcare premium? They're thinking that that's going to, be something that went up pretty high with what's happened with Medicare Part B and Social Security. But depending on the types of plans they're on, it's not been the case for rolling out into 2023 plan year. There's a lot of opportunity growth, especially with some add-ons with some of the advantage carriers in particular to, even sometimes reduce their premium. So if you have not reviewed your Medicare benefits yet or your plan review looking into the 2023 season, let's talk about healthcare cost, and your copays. Reach out to us here at the team at 877-222-8849. We'll have a visit and see what might work well for you in 2023.
So, Nolan, I'm 63 here pretty quickly. So I turned down the 5.9% cost of living. I said, just let it ride. Let's let it ride. A little more money for me for Social Security last year. This year's 8.7. Do you think that puts me over the top?
Well, it might. It might put you over the top.
That's the biggest cost of living adjustment since 1981 when it was 11.2%. So it is interesting, and it's a good thing. The problem is we've always heard about Social Security and the challenges of Social Security and Medicare because there are so many baby boomers. Do you think this makes, because we've heard since 2035, 2036, 2034, hey, we're running short. You're only going to get 78 cents on the dollar. Are you nervous about that for your retired clients?
You never know with the government, right? The challenge we have is that, some of the challenges that we have a cost of living adjustment in the Social Security, but, our earnings, right? So what's getting paid into the system, right? So a lot of people forget that even though, people that are collecting Social Security are getting that cost of living increase, if our wages, the people paying into the system, aren't going up and keeping up with inflation, because the rate is about 2%, 2.5%, which inflation is obviously much higher than that. That means the tax, the Medicare tax, and the Social Security tax that they're taking out of there is not going to keep up with that. So there are still some concerns that we're, giving out this money and that, we're not being able to support the system because more are drawing from it than are putting into it. And the people that are putting into it isn't enough to keep up with what they're giving for a cost of living adjustment. So I think we really need to look at that seriously and say, okay, there's probably going to be, and they played with it in the past, right? It used to be, full retirement age has changed, right? It went all the way from 66 in some months, and now it's all the way up to 67. And, obviously, have to start taking at the age of 70. I think they're going to start playing with those numbers as people are living longer. So maybe you can't start drawing your benefit at 62 like you can now. And so I think some of those things are going to get adjusted. And they have actuaries in the government that are looking at these things, and they've talked about privatizing, the Social Security administration and the checks that are going out. But I don't think that's necessarily the way it's going to go. I think it's going to be here. So, some people say, hey, it's going to be gone. I don't think they can do that, but I think they are going to continue to change the rules. It's just going to look different now than probably what it's going to in the future. So it's one of those things that we definitely put that into our income piece when we're looking at those types of scenarios for our clients. But also, our younger clients, we say, hey, this is probably going to change. And so we don't necessarily always put that into the equation based on how old they are. So that's one of the things that we're going to continue to probably monitor for Social Security.
So your three girls, 8th grade, 5th grade, 3rd grade this school year?
You bet.
Yeah. So maybe you need to put them on the payroll so help people like me get my Social Security, get more people to pay in. I get you. All right. So here's the deal. If you have questions about Medicare, open enrollment, the annual election period is always October 15th through December 7th. Mindy loves Medicare. She's excited about it. She can't wait to help you. If you need some guidance, the Advantage plans, the drug plans, all those things kind of shuffle a little bit. And it's your opportunity to check to make sure you're in the right area. 877-222-8849. And certainly Social Security is a question a lot of people have as well. And that's part of the Dream Focused Wealth Plan because it starts with income. Social Security is part of that income decision. When and how should we take it? 877-222-8849. Now, the biggest thing going on is inflation. I mean, that's what people are concerned about. Costing more to go to the grocery store, go to the pump, those kind of things. Everything's costing more. We're at over 8% inflation right now, and inflation was never a factor. The problem is inflation is a factor everywhere. This is a little soundbite from Keir Starmer. He's the leader of the Labour Party over in Britain, and so they have issues as well.
I think for so many people looking at their mortgage payments, worried about whether they can now afford to pay them, they're not just frustrated but angry because the government has lost control of the economy.
Does Nolan have a good British accent?
Oh,
Mindy?
I don't think so. No, not at all.
So
We have some clients that do, some families.
We do. Oh, yeah,
that
they
really
do. Yeah, they are. That's
like it.
fun to hear them talk.
yeah, I like it.
And then we try it. We're not so good.
No.
So, I mean, really inflation is all over the place. It's not just here. So are your clients, Mindy, are they nervous? I mean, do they call you and say, hey, holy criminy, things are costing more. I need a little bit more this year than I was planning on.
Yeah, it's happening a lot, and you're seeing it everywhere, right? So even whether we're doing what we call a strategic review with some of our current families, or even right now the footprint of Medicare is so big of the folks coming in that they talk about, oh goodness, okay, it's good to hear about these cost of living adjustments that we might be looking at for, let's say, their increase to their COLA with Social Security. But we talk then about, well, how is your monthly budget working out for you? And some of these families that might hit the coverage gap with Medicare and their prescriptions, they're talking about, gosh, it already takes a bite out of my income when it comes to my prescriptions near the middle to the later part of the year. But now, things are costing more, and I was trying to just live on, savings and Social Security and maybe some other income generator they have. And they're worried now that they're tapping either more into what they want to in their investment accounts that they feel just, continue to go down right now. So having a plan, that's the most important, so that they don't feel so nervous and all alone. We can help walk through those steps. So reach out to us here at McIntosh and Associates. We'd love to talk to y'all. Reach us at 877-222-8849. And let's actually walk through that together so it doesn't feel like this big balloon that's just ready to burst on you.
Nolan, when you guys put together that dream-focused wealth plan, and you're going through those areas, those pillars, if you will, income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, you have always been building in some inflation, I would think, because down the road, we even know if the inflation was at 1 or 2%, that in 20, 24 years, things were going to double anyway. So retirees today are retired for 20, 30 plus years. So they're going to have higher expenses down the road. But does this change the planning when it got to 9% and 8%? You're like, because maybe you were adding 3% and maybe inflation was at 2%. I don't know. Has it changed the planning part?
No, it has not. We continue to plan for income, and that's why the income pieces that we draw out and carve out of people's assets keeps up with inflation and the trends. And the trends are going to change. It's one of those things that, the government has always looked at a 2 to 3% inflationary rate every year as a safe haven. It's going to, number one, take a while for that to happen. And number two, I don't know if that's our new number anymore. I think, maybe if we set around the 4% inflationary rate, that might be a good win.
Jerome Powell, though, still saying he's trying to get it back to 2.
It's not happening. I don't think so. Anyways, that's my opinion. You have to remember wages, on a minimum wage standpoint, have increased over the boards. And obviously, people in the middle income class is probably hurting them a little bit more because they haven't kept up with as much inflation as even some of the lower, to be able to, go to McDonald's and get $15 an hour was unheard of. So I think that's part of the reason why we're probably not going to see that 2 to 3% inflationary rate, at least for some time, be part of the equation. But our point is that we kind of under-promise and over-deliver. So we say, hey, when we look at rates of return for things, when people are looking at investments and income strategies, we're saying, hey, this is what your percentage rate of return is. It's very low. It's actually maybe hedging inflation plus 1 or 2, Obviously, if you do better than that, then you're in the win box or the win category. But if we go on the low end, we show them you're never going to run out of money if we do it the right way. So, yes, we put inflation in there, but we also make sure that we're not overstepping our bounds on what they get for returns. So that way we know that if inflation does go crazy like it does now, that they're not going to necessarily run out of money just based on what inflationary things are. And obviously, taxes are part of that too. So we also have to include taxes with inflation. So that's why we always do tax planning with our clients as well, to make sure that they're not surprised when they start drawing this money and it's not all theirs.
So, as Nolan was going to say, and I interrupted him, so I apologize, but it was 877-222-8849. If you would like an actual retirement plan, not I hope I'm going to be okay, I think I'm going to be okay. Are you going to be okay? Let's find out. And the team at McIntosh & Associates is certainly here to help. It's 877-222-8849. No cost, no obligation. Questions about Medicare, questions about Social Security, it's all part of the Dream Focused Wealth Plan. 877-222-8849. We're just getting started today with Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Mindy and Nolan back right after this.
According to the U.S. debt clock, in the time you hear this commercial, our nation's debt will go up by $1.5 million. That's $2 billion a day, $15 billion a week. Right now, our debt is more than $30 trillion and climbing fast. The question is, how do we pay it off? The answer is increasing taxes. Now, think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now, when rates are historically low, or later, when rates are potentially higher? Whether you should pay taxes now or in retirement depends on a lot of things. Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and the team at McIntosh & Associates know what to look for. Mindy and Nolan can help you create a plan so your retirement is as tax efficient as possible. Call 877-222-8849 to set up a visit with Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and McIntosh & Associates. That's 877-222-8849. Firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Get started today to develop your own dream-focused wealth plan with the team at McIntosh & Associates. Schedule a complimentary first visit today. Call 877-222-8849.
Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan. They are here to help you with your retirement strategies. And the problem is most of us kind of do it ourselves. We're more apt to get some guidance planning that 2-week vacation, or spend more time even planning that 2-week vacation than that 20, 30 plus year retirement. Kind of crazy that we do it that way. The idea is, I think a lot of people have got, I got a 401k at work. I'm just kind of letting it go. The markets have been great, so I'm good. Now the markets get bumpy, and now we're not so sure. But I think I've done enough. I think I'm going to be okay. And you just do it yourself. Well, this is a challenge. You're going to be retired for 20, 30 plus years. Health issues. Something happens. I mean, the Dream Focused Wealth Plan that the team at McIntosh & Associates creates for you is always changing, because your life is always changing. Things are happening, and the plan is always adjusting with you, whether the markets are down and stocks are down, bonds are down. How do we do that? How do we adjust the portfolio to make sure that we don't lose? We want to make sure our money lasts as long as we need that money. So there's just a lot of moving parts. The plan is always changing with you. If you'd like to learn more, it's 877-222-8849. No cost to chat with the team. They're here to help. 877-222-8849. Of course, you can always go to the website to learn more, wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. There's a lot of excitement, I think, when you're starting a brand new phase of life with your retirement. You're excited. There's a lot of people that can't wait for those go-go years, the trips they've always dreamed of taking or what have you. And then there are other retirees that can't wait to just relax, don't have to get up and go to work, and just kind of have a really enjoyable time in retirement. So one of the challenges is, what do you do? Are you going to move to a smaller house? Are you going to clean out some of the clutter? So Mindy, Nolan, are either one of you a hoarder? Come on, Nolan, tell me. Is Mindy a hoarder? She's not, is she?
So we hoard different things. How about that?
Okay.
Mindy hoards anything kid-related. So she will save a pencil that they broke at the age of 1. And then for me, I hoard, like, the other day I had a fireplace. Our fireplace wasn't working, and you know what it was? We have a little switch on the wall. And he said, well, let's try this light. Let's see if we can replace the light switch. Do you have an extra light switch sitting around? I'm like, of course I do.
Of course
I hoard some of that stuff that Mindy says, you'll never need that again. See, we just saved it. So, yeah, we hoard different things.
Yeah, okay. All right. And that's one of the challenges when you do go into retirement. And retired professor at the University of Kansas, David Eckert, he had written an article a few years back about retiring, and he had taught aging at the University of Kansas. And he wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal about how his retirement was a little bit different than what he'd been teaching, but it was kind of on track, but there were some areas that were a little bit different. Well, now David Eckert has written a book called Downsizing. And so he says that accumulation is just a natural part of life, but at some point, it does all have to come out, and this is where it can feel overwhelming. But Eckert says a good place to start, all those piles of paper that you've kind of hoarded, if you will.
You really can't delegate the management of paper to other people. You have to look at all of it. And one piece of paper can stop you for hours because you'll discover something that needs to be done or somebody who needs to be contacted. And hours of work on paper really doesn't reduce the volume of things that are in, for example, a desk or a kitchen, but it has to be done. So that would be a great place to start.
So my mom moved, and she's going to be 86 here shortly. She moved to unassisted living, and we helped her move, obviously. And there were things kind of like you were talking about, Nolan. My sister is 4 years younger than me, so I think she just turned 60, as a matter of fact. No, she's 59. Anyway, my mom still had stuff that she had drawn for her back in grade school. I didn't ask. I eliminated it. So there were things that I made my own decision on because all it's going to do is go to a storage room and sit there until she's not here anymore, and then I have to go throw it away again anyway. So I just kind of jumped the gun on that stuff. But that is one of the challenges, isn't it, Mindy? I mean, when people do have to go to unassisted living or assisted living or need some help for people coming in, or maybe they need to move from a 2-story to a 1-story ranch-style house, do you help your clients with those kind of things?
So we see it all the time. So even earlier this week, someone was in and they said, hey, we realize we have a lot of money, sitting around right now in the bank, and we do want to make a change and a transition with this. However, their number was they thought they needed $300,000 for their retirement home, which then means we want to keep those funds liquid for now. But then the house that they're living in, they're going to sell that, and the proceeds from that sale, will go ahead and be reinvested into something different. So what we're seeing all the time is maybe either, children are now out of the household and so they're looking to downsize, or maybe that's when we've seen families move to a different area, or now they're moving to an area to see more of their grandchildren because now they're still in their go-go years and they're, in retirement. So we're seeing this happen a lot. Or maybe they had, the cottage up north or, a place in Florida or Arizona, and they're saying, you know what, we're just not really using that so much. And they're downsizing that. So it is happening a lot. We look at that too from a standpoint of what is maybe a gain on some of that? What are we're looking at? How do different areas, of the country or even the state affect things like healthcare and their cost of living there? So it's ever changing. So I think the point is that things don't stay the same. We all know that. Some of us welcome change more than others, but we have to keep walking through your journey in what we call your Dream Focused Wealth Plan. So we walk alongside you as things change. We know that everything isn't always going to stay the same. So when it comes to moving and downsizing or changing the area you live, we can walk through all those steps and what that might look even in your new expense plan. So reach out to us here at 877-222-8849. Or if you go to the web at wealthmichigan.com, we have some wonderful resources on there to walk through kind of some next steps and really to look at that income analysis and just what happens to your whole financial picture when that might happen for you.
Just because you retire doesn't mean you're not getting bills or junk mail every single day. And Nolan, one of the challenges, I'm an idiot when it comes to this because I just have a drawer I chuck things into. So, for example, I changed credit unions probably 5 years ago, and I know I still have papers from the previous credit union. And how do you help people maybe organize some of that financial document stuff here? You need to keep, what is it, IRS, those tax returns, you keep them for 7 years, I think. I probably have some that are older than that. But I mean, that's the shredding part, I guess, it comes in. Do you help people kind of figure out what they actually do need in that area?
Yeah, I mean, that's the important key is, a lot of things people keep because they think that, if they get a financial document that it's something that's important, then they need to keep. But you're right, the tax thing, obviously, tax filing and anything that you use, to file the taxes, you want to keep around for 7 years. But some of these other things. We get a lot of times our clients, because there's prospectuses and trade confirmations that they get a lot, and like, do I need to keep this? I'm like, well, if you want to, it's really for your information only, but obviously if you're trusting what we're doing and the changes we're making for your accounts that are in your best interest, then obviously we don't need to keep those around. But statements, stuff like that are always important to keep, things of that nature. So we try and help them walk through and say, okay, this is the important pieces of information you need to keep, this is not important pieces of information to keep. And we've had it the other side where some people just get rid of it and they're like, you probably should have kept that, because there's now some documents that we needed because there's no traceable, we see it a lot of times with what we call cost basis. If somebody's held something for a long time, we don't know what they originally paid for it, and they don't have any documentation. Now we're guessing at what they, have paid for those stocks or bonds or whatever it is. So some things you do want to keep that people get rid of too, but we try and help them out and say, okay, get rid of this. And so if they come in with a stack of papers, right, and they have 50 years worth of statements, we're like, okay, you can start getting rid of this, start getting rid of this. And then if they need us to, obviously we have a shredder, so we'll shred that for them here at the office. So, and we talk about decluttering as well as, some people have, an account at this bank account and that bank account, and they have, a market account over at this office or that office. And a lot of times just for us to consolidate that and say, hey, there's one place you need to contact for everything, it really does relieve a lot of times, the partner that doesn't necessarily know everything that's going on. It gives them some relief to know that, hey, if something happens to my partner, this is who I contact, because they're the ones that are going to help me step through that next phase of life. And I don't have to worry about contacting this person or that person or this person. So we also do that for a lot of people that come in and are just saying, hey, I just want to consolidate. I want one place that I can call home to get everything done, and so that way I can get the holistic approach. I can get my insurance here, I can get life insurance here, I can get Social Security timing here, I can get market accounts, I can get income play. So it's a really nice wrapped up system that we have for people, so that way they feel much more comfortable and saying, I just have one place to contact. So if you're saying, hey, I got all these different places all over, instead of, it's kind of like the junk drawer like you talked about, Mark, if we can declutter that and put that in an organized space, give us a call, 877-222-8849. Love to help you out in looking at that junk drawer.
So, Mindy, I would imagine that's part of what you do at McIntosh & Associates for your clients is probably some sort of a binder, folder, something that's got all the important stuff in it, so that if something unforeseen would happen to a spouse or to both, and now it's about leaving it to the kids or what have you, that you have all of that stuff in one place where they can find it if something happens, maybe?
Well, it's such a big deal, and we even talk about it this time of year a lot as, as Nolan was saying, so many families, especially as we age, it gets a little bit more confusing having, let's say, different accounts in different areas and a variety of banks and investments, and it just starts getting overwhelming to them. So we think of the junk drawer in that way and kind of consolidating a little bit and using one place to call home. We also talk about that junk drawer a little bit, that we all have one when it comes to Medicare, right? They're getting phone calls, information, pieces of material. And when folks come in for their visit, a lot of times they'll just bring me their bag of things they've received, so they know, hey, what can you shred? What do I need to keep? What of this do I really want? What is all this alphabet soup? So we take a look at that. And then anyone who does become one of the families that we help serve here, they do have a binder and an updated portfolio of everything that is held here every time that we do a review. So it could be investment accounts, it could be income that they have, it can even be listing of their bank accounts, what they're doing for their safety pension play, what do they have for health care, what's happening in their life insurance journey, how are they doing a tax play. So this all comes in a nice binder that we continue to update, so we're walking along with them every step of the way, so it makes it easy for them, their loved ones, and also, something unforeseen happens, then it's very easy to place, who do I need to contact?
So 877-222-8849. Let us help us get that binder in your hands.
Glad you're with us today for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Mindy and Nolan back. We're still talking downsizing, decluttering when we come back. Stay with us.
If you're close to retirement, you probably hear about Medicare all the time. When to sign up, how to sign up, what your options are. But have you heard how you might be able to lower your future Medicare costs with proper planning before you retire? It's true. The McIntosh & Associates team can show you how. It's not for everyone, but you could potentially save in future Medicare premiums. See if this strategy could work for you. Call McIntosh & Associates now to set up your visit to start working on your plan. 877-222-8849. That's 877-222-8849. If you want to pay the lowest price for your future Medicare coverage, start planning today. Set up your visit now with the McIntosh and Associates team. Call 877-222-8849. Firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Medicare open enrollment is going on now through December 7th. If you want to explore your options, call the team at McIntosh and Associates, 877-222-8849.
Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Mindy McIntosh, the founder and president of McIntosh and Associates. Nolan McIntosh, a part of the team now since 2018. Mindy started the company back in 2004. If you'd like to learn more, always encourage you to go to the website, wealthmichigan.com. A lot of great information there, wealthmichigan.com. And if you have questions about anything that's going on in the economy or with your retirement, can I retire? When can I retire? Will my money last as long as I do? Call the team. That's really what they're here for, is to help you create your dream-focused wealth plan. Income, investment, taxes, health care, legacy planning. Social Security's in the income part. Medicare's in the health care part. That's a lot of moving pieces, and they all kind of go together. 877-222-8849. The team is here to help if they can. They don't know if they can help you, though, until you reach out. 877-222-8849. That's why they don't charge you for this. They're here to see if they can help. And then the question is, do you want their help if they can help? That's a big question. 877-222-8849. We're talking about a retired professor at the University of Kansas, David Eckert. He wrote the book called Downsizing, and he taught aging when he was at the University of Kansas for like 20, 30 years. And then he retired. He wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal about his retirement compared to what he'd been teaching at Kansas. And now he's written a book about downsizing. And he says the one kind of fun thing about downsizing, because there's no question, we've all got a lot of stuff, accumulated a lot of stuff over the years. And he said it is a challenge, but when you do declutter, donate, downsize, it's really a pretty good feeling.
In the Midwest, people with large households and people with very modest households, almost everybody was glad after they moved that they had been able to downsize, and they felt very good about what they did. They felt empowered.
So, Mindy, Nolan, how long have you guys been in your current location? I mean, have you moved? When you moved, you declutter a little? What's the deal?
I don't know if we do. Well, we just keep expanding, so it's one of those things we didn't declutter. So we've continued to evolve with how our business has evolved, and that's what's great. And we have a couple new employees and team members here that we'd love to share with the radio at some point here. But as we've grown, we've had to make those changes, and so we're still very, very neat, and we have a process, and we make sure that no loose ends are lost. That's why we use a software that helps us make sure that we keep on task and make sure that we're reaching out to clients when we need to reach out to them, and make sure that we're never lost, or our clients are never left in the dark. So we're very, very poignant about being neat and efficient. Now, obviously, we've grown. We used to be across the street, and now we're in this office building that we're at. And we're continuing to expand, and so we may or may not have to move in the future here just with our new team members. But we love it because we're able to help more people, and that's Mindy and I's heart, as we're here to serve people in the best capacity that we can. And so with that, it does not bring challenges for us. It obviously brings us the opportunity to be able to serve more, so we have to bring more team members on. And so, yes, we've grown, but we're not cluttered. We are very neat and organized, and definitely lean on a lot of our software pieces to make sure that nobody falls through the cracks.
And, of course, Mindy, with your husband being the wizard that he is, with the doctorate that he's got from Andrews University in physical therapy, so PT, athletic training, that's why you try to make me feel bad all the time with, hey, I've just completed this 30-minute workout. I see that on Facebook all the time. While I'm eating a donut and having a Mountain Dew and trying to feel bad about my life. So you're not a procrastinator, would be my guess. A lot of us do procrastinate. And this is one area where, boy, I should get rid of that. No, I can't get rid of that. It meant so much back in the day or whatever. People procrastinate. They still do, don't they?
They do. But it's still that old saying, just do it, right? So if it's on your mind, I should do this. So instead of the shoulda, woulda, coulda, the time is now, right? So whether you're someone that likes to write a list or have a sheet or just get it done type of mentality, it's one of those things where if it's hanging and looming over your head, and if it's something that you're saying, I should do this because I haven't used it, well, then you probably haven't. So why don't you take the time to, either, declutter that mess, take a look at things, whether it's from our perspective on things that we can help folks with. Let us walk through financial journey and paperwork and forms and Medicare and healthcare. Because a lot of folks, even if you kind of rewind back to 2020 during COVID, they kind of delayed a lot of things, felt like they couldn't meet face to face, and things got put on the back burner. Now, some of those honeydews or decluttering got done real well during that time. Other things such as financial updates, when they're looking to retire, what is happening with healthcare, forms and materials and paperwork, bring it in. Let us help you. We've even done little shred parties before where let's actually get a plan set in place. It doesn't take as much time as what you might think, right? Working with us and working on it together. So sometimes we get in our own mind and things take a little bit longer than others. But if we actually can work together, so, right, we're not all supposed to be doing everything on our own. Work together, you'll feel better about it, and it will just energize you to, maybe get that workout in then, right, Mark?
Absolutely. I've been thinking, I think about it a lot. Again, if you have questions about any of this and you want some guidance, because it is a big step to go from working to retirement, and you're going like, well, when I retire, I'll start doing some decluttering. Well, maybe, but you might be more busy in retirement than you were while you're working. So there's just a lot of moving parts, and it makes sense to have a firm that's here to help you plan that retirement. Not hope you're going to be okay, not wish you're going to be okay, but actually know that you're going to be okay. 877-222-8849 is the number to chat with Mindy and Nolan and the team at McIntosh & Associates, 877-222-8849. A final tip from retired Professor David Eckert. And this comes to when it comes to decluttering, whether it's your own possessions or like I was helping my mom move to unassisted living at the age of 85, he says don't shame yourself and certainly don't shame your family members for accumulating so many things over the years, because accumulating things is just what happens when you live in the same place for years, Nolan. So, do you have parents or grandparents that you've helped kind of declutter, downsize, that type of thing?
Yeah, just recently with
But you don't make them feel bad, do you, Nolan?
Well, so it's really interesting. My parents are not clutter people. They definitely get rid of things maybe even sooner than they probably should. But, it's one of those things that... You know what they did to me is when I reached 18, they said, hey, this is stuff we've been saving. It's yours now. So that's how they decluttered. They gave it to me. So anyways, I had to declutter some of that stuff. But yeah, we've helped. When Mindy's dad had passed, he had a huge shed, massive shed that had all. Now, he knew where everything was, but it was one of those things that Mindy's mom was just lost. We were over there and worked a long time and hard, and her brother helped us out, and it was great to help them declutter and get that shed fixed. But it's one of those things that we try and help as much as we can, not only with our own family members, but obviously with people that we call family that are clients of ours, to help them. And obviously if they have questions about that, then we're always here to try and give them some of our advice and help them declutter that. But I think, kind of getting back to what he was talking about, they said it's empowering. And I think some of this too is think about some of the things that you probably have in your house that, if you don't need it, somebody else could, right? It's another man's junk, it's another man's treasure. So sometimes it makes you feel good. And we do this with our girls, right? There's toys and stuff of that nature that they haven't had to use in a long time, or they're too old for them. And it actually empowers our girls right now to say, hey, we're giving back to the community. We're giving back to somebody that could use it better than we have. We've enjoyed it for this long time, and now we don't need to use it anymore. So I think that's part of what the empowering that is that you're giving back. And everybody always feels better when they give. And so decluttering could be one of those things that it makes you feel better just because you're helping out the community.
And Mindy, so when your dad passed and now you're helping your mom, that's emotional. That's an emotional time for all involved. And financial stuff can make us emotional. The markets go down and then we get emotional. Oh, I got to go to cash. Well, you went to cash, but you're losing money safely because you're not even close to keeping up with inflation. There's a lot of emotional baggage here on whether you're downsizing, decluttering, or the financial world.
All over the board. And when you put your own emotional tie to things, that's why it's good to seek outside advice and outside help, right? So whether it's the market and you're feeling like, oh my goodness, I have to go to cash. Well, as Nolan talks to folks all the time, how do you know when to get back in then? And when is that good pivot point? It's kind of like, children putting their foot across the line that you say, oh, let's not step across this line yet. And they're like, oh, you mean now? You mean now? What do we do? So it's one of those things where we need to take a look at how do we actually approach this, even when it's decluttering, right? Maybe it's in a estate sale or something happened to a loved one that you lost and you just feel so overwhelmed. And now you're needing to maybe even go back to the drawing board and create a new budget or a new expense plan on what you're actually spending. So we can help you walk through what does that actually look like for you. And maybe there's things that you need help with processing to look at the proceeds and what happens with tax for you. And now what's your upcoming income and in your journey looking like? So let us help you walk through that so you're not staging that alone. We can get a written income plan in your hand. We can help you with an expense plan and really take a look even at taxes. So reach out to us here either on the web at wealthmichigan.com or call the office at 877-222-8849. That way we can have a visit, get on the right steps, and kind of walk through that together.
Yeah, and when you call 877-222-8849, first, let's try to figure out, can the team at McIntosh & Associates help you? So they're going to have a discovery meeting, which is to find out about your hopes, your dreams, your bucket list, and then figure out, okay, well, where's your income going to come from? What about investment strategies, tax-efficient strategies, health, long-term care planning, legacy and estate planning? What about Social Security? Well, it's in the income part. What about Medicare? It's in the healthcare part. That's a lot of moving pieces. The team at McIntosh & Associates is here to help, as Mindy and Nolan have said. It's 877-222-8849. Again, there's no cost, there's no obligation for this. 877-222-8849. We're headed to our final segment with Mindy and Nolan. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Back right after this. Glad you're with us today for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan. You can always find out more about this retirement planning firm. The website's wealthmichigan.com. A lot of great information there, wealthmichigan.com. And, of course, questions, concerns, you can always call the team, 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. Final segment's always a short one. Where are you guys going in this one?
We're going to talk about inflation and what we've seen with standard deductions and taxation with it. So as we talk about, if we've been in many years of low inflation, I think we'd all agree. And with today's rising prices, we have the potential to just kind of derail investors in two ways. First, it can diminish the value of assets if they don't adjust for inflation, such as like a U.S. Treasury bond or corporate bonds. And second, if and when the Federal Reserve, increases interest rates and continues to do this, it can serve to reduce the value of other assets, such as stocks, real estate, how much money they have to actually spend co-pays for other medical expenses or long-term care. So therefore, even if your investments are diversified, the possibility of rising inflation can impact many aspects of that portfolio. And so there's some new updates of some of the deductions and such to get a bump.
Yeah, and I think, again, we talked about it in the past. Instead of freezing where current environment is, right, with the stock market the way it is, interest rates rising, inflation where it is, I think there's some opportunities. And so that's what we kind of look at always is there some opportunities of some maybe sectors we can go into? Is there some things that we can do from a tax planning standpoint? So a lot of people don't realize this, but the IRS every year does adjust tax brackets for inflation. Usually it's just so small that we don't realize it. But this year it's much bigger. So coming next year, what's going to happen is we actually get a tax bracket jump up in 7%, and the standard deduction, which everybody uses now under the current tax law, actually is increasing. So for married filing jointly, it actually is going to go up to $27,700, up from $25,900. And for single, it's going up from $12,950 to $13,850. So what does that mean for you? What that means is that if we're doing some tax planning for you, it gives us a lot more wiggle room. Plus, they're also going to expand the brackets themselves, meaning before you jump into the next tax bracket, they're expanding those as well, so that way you can pay less taxes with the inflation. So there's real opportunity right now, in our opinion, particularly in market accounts where we've had some losses in the market. And if it's compressed, and we use the Slinky here in the office, which is a great visual, but if the market is compressed like it is right now, we know we're doing a tax plan and we're converting so many shares, and it could be any tax-free type of vehicle. And so that's why we don't necessarily say Roth conversions, because we might use a different tax-free vehicle. But it may be a time because we can convert more shares right now. And then obviously when the market rebounds, then obviously we get to participate in that growth. So now we have more opportunity because the tax brackets are going to be lengthened for us to be able to convert more of those shares this year, because the market's probably going to still be compressed for a little while here. So we have some time probably this year. Obviously, we never know when the tomorrow brings, and may start to go back up again. But there's some timing here that we may be able to next year do better of a tax plan for some of our clients just based on what we're seeing for those. So it's exciting news for us. Instead of kind of sitting back and saying, hey, I hope we make it, we have some opportunities, in our opinion, that we can take advantage of with the current tax rates and things that are happening with inflation. So inflation, if we want to look at silver lining, inflation isn't all that bad. It's given us an increase in Social Security payment. It's given us an increase in IRS tax brackets. And it's also, some instances with interest rates raising, and it does give us some opportunities with some other, safer type of investments that we're getting a better interest rate on those as well. So not everything is bad here. So let's look at the bright side of things and let's make sure we take advantage of the current situation. So 877-222-8849 if you want to sit down and discuss some of the things we just talked about, because it can be confusing. Not confusing to Mindy and I, because this is what we do, but if this is confusing to you, what I just talked about in a really quick time frame, then give us a call. Again, that number is 877-222-8849.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM. AEWM and McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC are not affiliated companies. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC. McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. AEWM and McIntosh & Associates Financial, LLC are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. McIntosh Associates Financial, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by McIntosh Associates Financial, LLC. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. This radio show is a paid placement.